Hello everyone and welcome to this week's reviews. Ridley Scott directed one of the most influential science fiction films of all time in 1982. And now, after 35 years, the story of Rick Deckard and the Replicants continues. Who would ever thought we'd get a sequel? This time with Denis Villeneuve directing. This is Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner is one of my favorite films. I love the atmosphere, the locations, the mystery, the layered personalities, the music. I legitimately love that film. So you can imagine the sequel has a lot to live up to in my eyes. Sadly, I found this to be an overlong, ponderous affair that did not add anything substantial to the story. A big part of the problem is Ryan Gosling's stoic performance as Blade Runner K. I just found myself at a distance with him, and he was a colossal bore. The central mystery was fairly predictable, with little intrigue. The runtime is padded out with scenes centering on Kay's relationship with his girlfriend, and while she admittedly has an arc that provokes interesting questions, you could have cut those out and not affect the story as a whole. After a while, I just began waiting patiently for Harrison Ford to show up. But even Rick Deckard doesn't contribute much excitement. The visuals also underwhelm me, as the future depicted here felt too much like a light show. The best part of the film is Sylvia Hoek's Replicant, as she provides both a strong performance and an intriguing arc. Otherwise, I left the screening in disappointment. While I will continue to watch Blade Runner multiple times in the future, the sequel will be the furthest thing from my mind. Next up is a survival tale of a surgeon and a journalist stuck out in the frozen wilderness in the mountain between us. With Kate Winslet and Idris Elba in the lead roles, The Mountain Between Us has quite a bit of prestige involved. Unfortunately, this is a rather slow and largely uninteresting survival thriller that manages to outstay its welcome. This is a film that takes no chances and risks in telling its story, and we're also left with two rather unlikable leads. Try as she might, Winslet cannot seem to rise above the stale dialogue. There are also no real stakes. Whenever they come across a conflict in this frozen tundra, it gets quickly resolved in the same scene. There's little suspense with what happens. In addition to the two main characters being unlikable, Elba and Winslet lack any chemistry. This is one of those movies where what starts off as bickering then forms into more of a bond, and it's just not convincing. When their relationship really takes into high gear, it does not feel the least bit earned. Even the dog is largely there for easy audience sympathy, and the whole reason they end up stuck in this situation is incredibly contrived. I will admit, through most of The Mountain Between Us, I just found it largely mediocre and forgettable. But the tipping point for me is the climax, which goes on and on and on for an unnecessary amount of time. With what preceded the third act, I just did not find myself invested in the conclusion, and it takes no twists whatsoever. Worse, it does that cliché I cannot stand, where the film has the perfect, rather ambiguous shot to end on. And then it just keeps going. It bothers me so much when filmmakers miss a golden opportunity on when to cap off a film. In conclusion, I found this to be a waste of two very good actors ultimately stuck in a piece of nonsense. Thanks for watching this week's reviews, and I'll see you next time.